We are one church unified in becoming kingdom men, women, and families. And we want to help kind of empower all of us from a scriptural perspective, a kingdom perspective, to understand what that's all about. And so last week, I was in Athens, but I caught the conversation. I saw that Benet did an interview style, and so I was talking to her, and I was like, that's like a great idea, to just get different perspective. Because how many guys I have in here? Okay, that wasn't all of you, but it was close. If I stood up here and communicate, hey, here's what becoming man is, several of you in here know what's coming. You know what our identifier is, at least I hope you do. You know what our responsibilities are. I hope you know how you're supposed to be treated. But there's several guys in here that may be new to this conversation, or maybe you don't have a very deep understanding of it. And I've been on this journey for, specifically understanding what it means to become a biblical man for at least 12 years, and I still don't have it all figured out. Like, there are areas in prophet, priest, king, and warrior that I still not only need to grow in, but need to become more consistent in. That there's never this point where you arrive, and people are always like, okay, well, what's coming next? Like, I know we do I am 4, and it's becoming man, and we do PPKW. Well, what's next? I don't want there to be anything next. Meaning, like, I can just handle those 4, and I'm trying to figure those out. So we have this conversation over and over and over again. And what I don't want to happen today is, if you're in here and you're a guy, I don't want you to check out and think, oh, I got this. I understand prophet, priest, king, and warrior. Because I promise you, there's always more available. Like, you could read the same scripture, honestly, or the same section of scriptures, and that's the only one you stay in for a whole year. And Holy Spirit's faithful to show you something new inside the Word, because it's living and alive and it's active. And it just does things. So when you're talking about the identity of the masculine soul, when you're talking about the responsibility that we have in the earth, you can go as deep in those areas as you absolutely want to. But everybody in here, especially every guy, there is a scared little boy inside of you. And when we start talking about these things, we understand there's struggles in front of you getting there, or barriers you have to come across. And so I've shared so many of mine that I thought I'd just get some dudes up here to share with you theirs. So if you're new to the conversation, the Bible says in Genesis that the man was created from dirt, and God formed him from the dirt of the ground and breathed life into his nostrils. And then starting in Ephesians chapter 5, somewhere around verse 23, if you ever wanted to know what is the job description for a dude, just go to Ephesians chapter 5 and start reading. Even if you're single, it's still in there. There's still identifiers and there's still things in there. So it starts out and says that the man is the head of every wife, just as Christ is the head of the church. And that can like do a lot of things in our culture, and most of the time it causes arguments and disagreements. And all that means is you have a much greater responsibility, everybody say responsibility, than the woman does. And here's what I mean by it, in creation, because you're identified as the head. Like, you're the head of the family. So, like, what you do absolutely matters. Wives, look at your husband and say, what you do matters. And then it gives us, like, it starts out in Ephesians, and it just starts running the job description, and it starts out with priests, that we're to love our wives as Christ loved the church because he gave himself up for it. That's sacrifice. I'm not going to go into like all the ins and outs of it, because I do want to invite you to the summit. Everybody say summit. We're 6 days away from the summit, so if you've not signed up, make sure you sign up. Wives, if your husband signs up, there's going to be a QR code at the end of the service. You take a snapshot of that and sign him up. Here's the deal. How much does it cost to go to the summit? $30. Or all weekend. So here's the deal. If you're in here and you think $30 is too high, see Kirk. He'll give you a code and you can come for free. You can come for absolutely free. Because I'm telling you, this year's summit is the game changer. I promise you, the world is set for men to understand who they are, and this is going to be, so if like 30, and listen, I get it. There was a time in my life where $30 might as well have been $3,000. Like, I'm serious. And so if that's your hang up, see Kirk at the end of this service, scan that QR code. He's making up a code right now because of what I just said. I feel it in my heart, okay? You see him after service and you say, hey man, I want to take advantage of the code. And you put that code in and your registration is free, and you just make sure you show up Friday and Saturday, because it's going to be amazing. So our first responsibility is priest. Everybody say priest. It means to live a life of sacrifice, to be a sacrificial leader, to pray for your wife, to pray for your children, to pray for people that are in your life. And then it says something like in the next line in Ephesians says, making her holy by washing her with the water and the word of God. And we go, what in the world does that mean? That's the prophet responsibility, where you understand the word, you read the word, you're in the word, and you have the ability to speak spiritual things over your wife, over your children, over people that are in your influence, and you know what that looks like. And so why is Bible study super important to a guy? Because it's your responsibility to be the main teacher, scriptural teacher of your home. And then there's king, and there's this long list of stuff about managing and making sure everything goes together. And so king really is your ability to manage your household resources. I challenge guys, you make sure that you write the tithe check, or that you know when it's automatically deducted out of your account, and y'all make it a matter of prayer. And this word sounds like authoritative, but you do have authority, so govern your kingdom. Set guidelines for your home, your garden, and be the one who understands what those are. And then the last one is warrior. Everybody say warrior. And that has things to do with taking care of your temple, and then it goes way beyond that. Like, we can get focused on, we got to run 3 miles and be in shape. And I think that's important, just because I want you to live to be 120. Well, to do that, you got to partner with God. You can't fight against him the whole time. You got to be healthy and be health-minded. And so we do want you to be in a better shape, because everybody's in a shape, right? Everybody's in a shape. We just want you to be in better shape so that you can see your great-grandkids. You can see what the next generation is benefiting from, because you made choices early on in life. But it's also to create this safe space with your wife, that she can come to you, talk to you, that you can handle it, that you are a protector. Everybody say protector. Of your garden, and you know what that looks like, and you're willing to pay the ultimate price to make sure that your family is safe. And then the last thing it says in Ephesians 5:33, it says this: wives, respect your husbands. So we talked about last week, how was a woman supposed to be treated? Well, a guy is supposed to be treated with respect. It's funny that it never says wives, love your husbands. It says respect, because the masculine soul receives love through respect. And so you have to understand. How many know girls and boys are different? Anybody in here confused about that? Now, there may be some people outside of these walls that are super confused about that. Really don't understand what that looks like, and their gender identity is all confused, but I promise you there's only 2 genders in the universe, okay? And it is the masculine and it is the feminine. Your gender is determined by your plumbing. Your maturity is not. So you can be a 40-year-old boy. You can be a 40-year-old girl. But what we want to do here at Becoming Church, and through what we do, is we want you to all be grown men. Well, what does that mean? It means you can shoulder the responsibility of prophet, priest, king, and warrior. So come to the summit. If I say it one time today, I'm going to say it 1,000 times today. Okay, come to the summit. Why? Because I love you, and I want you to understand this. I do not, because I get this all the time, I do not want you to be me. I don't. I do want you to be with me in the kingdom, though. I want us all to shoulder what we're supposed to shoulder, so we can have healthy families, healthy cities, and a healthy country. We are in the situation we're in because some guys a couple of generations in the past decided to be weak. And so now we have super hard times. It's just true. So what's going to change that? Men are going to have to decide to be strong and shoulder your responsibility and take it super, super serious. So the summit will be challenging. If you're wondering, what's it going to be like? You're going to have a couple of platform speakers that are going to rip us a new one. I'm going to be sitting out there listening to them too. I already know what 2 of them are saying. I'm like, this is going to be rough. But honestly, we need that. How many of you need somebody to be a little forceful with you to get you to wake up? Okay, that's for male and female. This ain't just the dudes. I know dudes are primarily a little bit more hard-headed, but then there's a few people who are going to be on that platform that are really going to empower you, encourage you, speak identity over you, and then breakout sessions are going to happen. We're going to eat a lot of unhealthy stuff, so I'm giving you a weekend to take off of your diet. Come on. That's worth $30 right there. Just come and eat whatever you want to, and nobody judges you. It's great, okay? Everybody say corn dog. It's one of the greatest foods on the planet, right? A weenie wrapped in bread and fried. That's better than that, guys. All right, so here's the questions I'm going to ask them, and it really is. This is about. I am Dr. Phil today. I'm just interviewing. I'm just hanging out, and I'm going to ask them very hard questions. You know what's cool about this? They have no idea what questions I'm going to ask them. But was like, send them the questions. I'm like, oh no. I want the raw, right out the gate answer. I want that 1,000-yard stare. Y'all know what I'm talking about? I ask them a question, they're like, and my wife's out there. Like, I know. So, Kyle Peak. Drummer extraordinaire. What do you think was your greatest obstacle to embracing your identity and your responsibilities as head of the home and prophet, priest, king, and warrior?
You were talking a lot earlier about safety and the man being the protector, and I think I had a really skewed view on what safety was, and I was protecting my family, I thought, from danger. But by me being timid, by me standing back and being smaller, I actually put them in danger, because I was protecting them from a legacy, from furthering. I was shielding them. Someone said to me, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Croods, but I was acting like the dad who was like, fire bad. No, we can't go outside and grow. No. In my mind, I was totally protecting my family. Keep them safe. I'm providing. I'm working hard, and these are all good things. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, I don't need to do that thing, because if I go out, then I'll be lifted up with music. I don't want to go back to that life. Yeah. I don't want to go back to what it was. This is how I was associated with bad things and sin. But I just way overcorrected to just be overprotective, and didn't even allow my family to grow and have a foundation. So now it's totally new. It's a real breath of fresh air that I didn't know I needed.
That's good.
It's terrifying.
That's dope.
Just like this, right here.
All right, Tex, same question. If y'all don't know who that is, it's the one with the cowboy hat on in the symbol.
One more time. Give me the question one more time.
Okay. You may clarify the question.
Huh?
You may clarify this.
Please.
This is going to be fun, y'all. Telling you. Okay. What do you feel like was your biggest hurdle to embracing who God says you are as prophet, priest, king, and warrior?
False identity. Fear of exposure.
Okay. So talk about that.
Okay. My whole life, I've tried to wear shoes that don't quite fit my feet, trying to walk the walk of somebody else, seeking validation from somebody else's statue when I don't need permission from you to be great. I don't need permission from you to be great. I'm great on my own. So with that being said, I continue to think back, from instead of allowing, what the experiences that I've experienced, the death of my mom, me being sexually abused as a child. Okay, well, everyone wants to be a link and a chain to bridge the gap, you know what I'm saying, to be able to withstand the tension from the constant pull and the sudden tug of the chain. Well, at some point, the link had to be molded. It had to be molded to be formed to the link that tied together from his end of the chain, mm-hmm. your end of the chain. His end may have a handle on it where someone can grab a grip. You may be the link that holds everything together. That doesn't mean that my position in the middle of the chain is any less important, but I have to walk in the shoes that was designed to fit my feet, to be the man that I was created to be, so that way that I can...
Come on.
For so long, man, when I first came to this church, you know, I sat right over there where they're sitting, and I wanted to be IV. That's what I wanted to be. The dad that I had at home was not the ideal dad. See, for me, I see so many different real men definitions floating around out here, but instead of using those definitions, because they can cause you to draw straight, why not go to the one that has been the same from the beginning and then is the same now? So when I think of what a real man is, I think of Jesus. I think of a man who portrays his life to be that, who's the same outside, who is the same in the church. So that is... I was afraid of it, bro. I was afraid that if someone found out who the real me was, that I wouldn't be liked, that I wouldn't be accepted. I don't need to be liked. I don't need to be accepted for me to be who I am.
Yeah.
Cowboy hat is going to be cowboy hat, and I'm going to wear it here, out at home. I'm comfortable in my own skin.
It's good. Man, you can't have me crying 10 minutes into the service. That's like invitation stuff. All right, Josh. I'm going to let you follow that.
Nice. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let me see how I want to word this. I'd say my biggest obstacle would be the choosing to confront the reality of my life versus hiding behind the pleasures of my own fantasies of what I thought life was.
Yeah, you might want to say that one more time. So, somebody needs to write that down, tweet that.
One more time. The choosings to confront the reality of my life versus hiding behind the pleasures of my own fantasies.
All right, so unpack that a little bit.
So, my brain is wild. I can, literally, I dream all the time. It doesn't matter if I'm asleep or not. I just movies playing up here, and I'm literally I could be Steven Spielberg. I can direct crazy movies. But that's how my brain works, and so everything is. But in that, I get caught up in the drama of the movie, and so when I play these fantasies in my brain of how how situations are going to go or conversations are going to go, and people make jokes and they're like, "Oh, I had my argument in the shower," where I'm like, I don't wait till the shower. I'm having it all the time, argument where if it's a good talk, my brain's always firing off, and there's these fantasies that are always going up there, and it's pleasurable to me. And so it was the lusting after my own mind that would cause me to sin in my real life of not facing reality of and on both ends of, my coach used to always have to tell me when I was in high school, it's not as good as you think it is, but it's also not as bad as you think it is. And so, because I would fall into both traps and both temptations of oh, my life's over, I'll never be successful. Or I'd be I'm amazing, I'm killing it, but I'm really not, because I'm just lying to myself and pleasuring myself with fantasies. And so I think the obstacle was to sit back and take myself out of my own mind and out of my own games that I was playing with my own emotions, and also drawing people into those, because I knew when I was in college, I could, if I wanted to go on a date with somebody, I could take them on a date and I would have fun and it would be cool, because it was pleasuring my own fantasies of oh, I'm going on a date, instead of facing the reality that I wasn't ready for that, and I needed to sit and be in solitude with the Lord and take a step back from where I was allowing my mind to pleasure itself with. And so I think that was my biggest obstacle, of being hey, you're not where you think you are in terms of good, and you're also not where you think you are in terms of bad, but you need to realize where you really are and what really is just a mind game that you're lying to yourself. So, yeah.
That's good. Thank you. All right, GP, biggest obstacle to embracing PPKW?
guess there's a lot of things I could say, but my biggest struggle was myself. My BOS, my belief operating system, and being fake. Some people say, fake it till you make it, but I think that's very dangerous because a lot of times it's not that you don't make it, it's just that sometimes things end up not to be your plan because it's not your plan in the first place, it's his plan. So when I tried to be something perfect, something that I thought that was going to get me to where I thought I was going, and then I didn't get to where I was headed. And because I was being fake, I was doing things to get somewhere, not because I believed in the right things or because I chose to stand on the foundation that you was trying to build. So then, being young and not having a foundation because I chose not to stand on your foundation, I hadn't built one myself, I found myself standing in a mud puddle that had no bottom. And instead of asking to get out, the longer I stood there, the more I sank. And because I didn't know what to do, I just said, to heck with it. And I found myself trying to make money all the wrong ways, which brought on a lot of addictions because of my BOS and because I found myself not where I thought I would be. So I began to not love myself. I began to not respect myself. And I felt like I have a very powerful family. And they all had callings, but I couldn't figure out what I was for. And I felt like, not that I necessarily care about money or having all the nice things, but I felt like I have a desire in my heart to make a lot of money to help fund my brother and my dad and our legacy. So when I found myself in a place where I didn't know what to do and I was broke, I felt like nothing, and I felt like, but I was trying to do everything out of the wrong way. And how can I be this tomorrow instead of what my brother taught on the IM4 breakfast, to be a bricklayer. And I didn't understand what that meant and how to build a foundation. I was like, no, I need to be this tomorrow because, I gotta do great things tomorrow. And the whole time the Lord was just saying, hey, just trust me in this and let's learn some things together so you don't mess up the couple of talents that I keep trying to give you.
Yeah.
And so I say all that to say that two things. One, I didn't know how to be a bricklayer. And two, my belief operating system, that I didn't deserve it, that I couldn't stand on my dad's. And just being fake, trying to fake it till I make it, kind of like McKinney was saying, if they knew the real me, if they knew the things I had been through, the things I had done, the decisions I had made, they wouldn't accept me, they wouldn't want me. And the truth is, I just had to believe, and I had to, in my own, decide You know, none of us are worth it, but none of us deserve it, but we all deserve it. So.
It's good, bud. So, kind of the common denominator with everybody on the platform is honest to goodness, we all do, but you guys have legitimate excuses and nobody would blame you for not. Like, you had goals, hey, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this in college ball, and eventually I'm gonna be drafted, and that didn't go the way you planned. You had 3 knee surgeries, and it just wasn't the deal. And if the truth is, majority of people, if you decided to coast and not press in, nobody would think any different. We'll go, well, of course. You were successful and saw that success cost me a lot, and so I'm going to overcorrect and I'm going to play it safe without realizing I'm creating danger, not safety. Sexually abused as a child, grow up in the environment that you grow up. If you just make a little bit of a change, people are going to be like, hats off, man. And GP, like, you know, struggling with the time you did with addictions, and some similar to your brother, going to play college ball, blow your shoulder out. Everything seems to be ripped away. So everybody has an excuse, and some people have more than one. So my question is, and what I'm about to ask you, I'm not sure that I can answer. So I'll set them free. What was it that caused you to embrace who you are and not allow the excuses to talk? Or at least make decisions for you anymore? And anybody can go first if you got the answer.
I'll say this. For me, at some point it had excuses. I mean, the only person who believes it is the person who's saying it. That's just what I believe. Okay, so what flipped the switch for me was the 100 hours. I had every excuse in my back pocket, and every time I pulled it out, it got burned. It got smoked from the beginning. Okay, well, I don't know what it's like to be a real man, or I don't know how to lead, or I don't know. Well, I had all these characteristics the whole time, the whole entire time. The fact is that I didn't want to accept my responsibility and take on those things.
Okay, Paul, so why not embrace the responsibility? What were you scared of?
Failure.
Okay.
Scared that I was gonna, because it's easy. It's easy to, jump out there and say, oh, I tried. I tried to do this, so that's why I still stay where I'm at now. I watched my wife shoulder weight that she was not meant to carry. Going home, it was different.
Yeah.
It was extremely different, because now I'm supposed to carry this weight. Well, now, but she's been toting it for the whole time. She's been toting this. So she's carried the umbrella. Now I want it. Well, just because I tote the umbrella don't mean my feet ain't gonna get wet.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I had to understand that I still can hold my position and do the things that I'm called to do and still tread through some hard times. But it's just to embrace and decide that I'm going to learn from these failures. I'm going to learn from these mistakes and not just stay there, not lay down. I fall all the time. I'm going to get up.
Yep.
I'm going to get up and I'm going to continue to press forward.
It's good.
Can't live a legacy. I cannot leave a legacy if I'm not willing to embrace the things that I was called to embrace. I cannot.
It's good. Peak?
When you're asking about that switch, I have a specific moment, because it's actually pretty recent for me when I just did this. Oh, PTSD. So to preface the story, I feel like I grew up raised like to play through the pain, deal with it. You know, you're tough, because I had to overcompensate. I'm a tiny frame, as you can see on the stage. So I just played through it. Like, I'm gonna work harder than everybody else. I'm gonna just put my nose to the ground and just kill it. That's what I'm gonna do. Hard work. And no one can fault me for that. And I get hurt, and I just get back up, but I have no clear vision, just work. Just work. And that's so many blind spots for me. And I remember Billy grabbing my face at one moment during Warrior Evolution, and he said, do you want the pain to stop, or do you want to be healed? And I was just done running that race of where I'm just going into the fire knowing I'm going to get my butt kicked, or knowing that I'm going to fail because I'm inadequate. I can't do this, but if I work hard, I can't be blamed for it. So I wanted it to stop. I wanted the pain to stop, and I wanted to actually leave my family with a plan and a purpose. I lied to my family over and over, saying we're going to love intentional. We're going to do this intentionally. And every day it's a lie, because I'm not actually having a vision cast over my family. There's no standard. It's just go. So that triggered something. It was the second you said that to me, Billy, I was like, time to change. So good. I'm still changing. I'm still becoming. I still have so much more to go, but I am never going to go back to where I just let that pain continue to wash over me and just, yep, that's okay. Hit me again, because I know I can get up, but I'm not actually doing anything about it. It's just getting hit back. So how am I going to take that step forward? Am I going to fail? Then fail and fall forward. Stop with the timidity. Move forward with my family and actually build a legacy, and not just stay in that safety zone. And a lot of that, and it's referenced the last question, is what was my biggest hurdle? I had to actually let go and not continue to hold on to everything so tightly with white-knuckled that I'm going to do this and I'm going to fix it and it's all on me. Man, do I have to let God do an insane work in me, and to be able to let people, others, work through me as well. And it's freeing. I came home and Nicole's like, you're new. I've had friends tell me, we've been at their house, and there's a calmness to you. I don't know. Hope it's true.
It's true. All right, GP.
Can you say that one more time?
What clicked to make the excuses invalid, and now I'm deciding I'm just gonna embrace my identity and be this?
Well, I'll say this. First of all, I found myself so deep in an addiction that I wanted out but couldn't find a way out. And the Lord is so good that he got me arrested. And he blessed me with probation and color code. And so it was...
Love the
No,
word.
like that's a good way to look at it.
So then I had a decision every day, either do this or go to jail, and I did not want to go to jail. So that finally gave me a clear head for the first time in a long time. And I thought, man, I never thought that I would make it out. But now that I'm here, I never want to go back. And so when that came, it was just a relief. And, when I first started going to court, I was like, man, this is like the worst thing ever. How could this happen to me? Like, I'm never going to make it. Like, when you're in addiction, you believe you need these things every day, and you have excuses of why you this or whatever, and it's, you know, it's just the enemy just blowing through your brain and tearing it all to pieces. But I found myself in it and not even having a clue when the end goal was anymore, because honestly it didn't bother me that I was on it, because I wasn't like, man, I can't wait to get done so I can go back. So I was like, I could care less that I'm on it, because I'm not going back anyway. So, and then I just started believing. Like, you just, being an addict just wears on you and makes you believe like the lowest about yourself. And then I like woke up one morning and went to go to the gym with my brother, and he was like, what do you like? What do you want to do? And I was just like, for the first time in my life, I was like, man, I can do whatever I want to do, because I don't have to worry about not being able to make that drug test. I don't have to worry about getting busted or getting fired. Like, you know what? Like, what do I want to do? Like, I had control over my life, and I was like, you know, like, not to be a negative way, but I was like, you know what? I am somebody.
Yeah.
And I am a son of God, and I can do great things. And so I was like, well, I don't exactly know, but let's start. And I'm just gonna, for the first time in my life, I'm just gonna start laying bricks. And eventually I'm gonna have something, and I'm gonna be right there beside y'all. And I'll stand on the front row. Sorry, I just lift weights because I'm actually a big baby, so.
Man, somebody bring us some tissue stat. We're all up here freaking crying, dadgum.
But I went to my dad one Sunday, and I told him, I said, you know, a lot of things is making sense, probably because I was sober, but I said, I want you to know, like, I'm for real with you till the end now. And I'm standing here right now, and for the first time in my life, I understand love. And I really think that was my turning point to answer the question as I've just been talking. But I think I started to understand love, and that was the start of everything for me. Understanding to accept things from God, understanding that I could do things, understanding just being able to change my belief operating system. I was like, I'm starting to get this. No, I'm not there. No, like, but because I understand these things, I can start laying bricks now.
That's good. Thank you, GP. I love you, son. What's the click, the switch, where you decided, hey, these excuses are invalid? Because most people don't know that you struggled really bad with depression while at Auburn. And so the enemy obviously wanted to take you out. So what was the thing? It was like, nope, I'm moving forward.
I don't really know how to use these, to be honest. I just always use my sleeve. So you just keep over there.
You just use it the same way you use your hand. You
Yeah,
just put that in.
I think after my second surgery, when I had that, after my second surgery, I felt don't know, I had like a really bad concussion, and then because I had a car wreck and I didn't tell anybody, and like kept playing, and then it got worse. And so like I was just stuck in the dark a lot, like physically stuck in the dark, because I couldn't be around light. And then after my second surgery, my coaches had offered to like basically just pay for college through my master's, and I didn't have to keep playing. And so like that was like on the back of my mind of the temptation to be like, I don't have to keep doing this. And no one, like you said, like no one's gonna judge me, because even my head coach just brought me in and offered me a way out. And then I think like physically being in the dark, I was also like mentally and spiritually in the dark, and I was getting jumped by like a pack of demons, and I didn't know how to fight them back. And in that, I feel like God was trying to reach me, but I couldn't see the difference between his hand or the demon's hand, so I didn't want anybody's. And I was just drawing deeper and deeper back into myself. And it got to the point where I couldn't, for like the first time since I'd given my life to Christ, I couldn't hear the voice of God. And all the thoughts that were coming was, if I just died, so would the demons, which isn't the truth, because the physical doesn't affect the where they reside in the supernatural. And so, but I wrote a poem about it, and in the end of the poem, I don't know how the whole thing goes, I don't remember it, but basically I was saying, like, I think the ending goes like, I could kill two birds with one stone with one shot through the cheekbone. And I thought, like, that's where my brain was, because I couldn't see the light and I didn't know where to go. So I think like that moment was the click for me, because not only did I have all my excuses of a way out, but also like I felt like I was just getting jumped and beat down and attacked, and I didn't know where to go. And so I think the same answer as Garrett's of like, when I finally like decided to start doing just the practical things of like turn the light switch, like the physical light switch, like turn it on, and like quit watching shows that are dark, and like quit listening to dark music. And like my buddy Pat, one of my best friends, I opened up to him and was like, hey, I struggle with depression, and I like told him how I was having suicidal thoughts, and he was like, well, you're sleeping on my couch. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, I'm not asking. And so I slept on his couch like all the time, to the point that I know I probably annoyed him, because he would come home and I'd be like under his table. I was in a weird place. I'd like be under the table, and he'd be like, you good? And I'd be like, yeah. And he'd be like, okay. And he'd turn on TV and watch TV. I'd be asleep under his table, and like, but he never judged me. He never like condemned me for it. But if I was asleep for too long, he'd get me up and be like, all right, we're going to get in the sunshine. And we go outside and just sit on Stanford Lawn in the light. And then so just doing practical things. And then in the practical, like the supernatural started changing, and being around people, and then and really being able to embrace the love of God, and then being able to hear God's voice again. And then so the click was like, if God loves me this much, and I shared this yesterday in small group, but I felt like a prodigal son, because I felt like I had turned. I felt like I had turned from him. And I felt like the moment I turned back to him, he came running to me. Like, he was already running. I can't talk. I felt like he was already running back to me and was already embracing me. And I thought, if God loves me this much and is willing to put up with all my drama and all my fantasies that I talked about and all these things of like, because the truth is, in reality, I'm not in that bad of a place. Like, I was playing college ball. Like, everyone gets concussions. Everyone has surgeries. Like, it's just a part of it. But I'd gotten so deep into myself, and I had believed my own lies. And then so I thought, like, if God loves me this much, to never leave me, never forsake me, then who am I to do the same to him? And it really like clicked home for me, the verse where it says that he first loved us. And I think the majority of my life, I was trying to love him enough to where he would love me. And then it hit me that I'd never really ever loved him on a scale close to the way he loved me. And so it drew me even closer to him and closer to him and closer to him, to where now if I even have like a negative thought of any kind, like whether it's a sinful thought or a depressed thought or anything, I'm like, who am I to have this when I have a dad who loves me this much, that he's willing to fight for me and he's willing to stay in the fight when I'm fighting him. Like, I was telling him, like, get away from me. Like, I was trying to throw hands at him the same way I was a demon, and I was like telling him they were the same. And he still kept reaching and kept coming and kept reaching. And so, like, in that moment, I think I realized, like, if this God loves me this much, then who am I not to keep going and keep pursuing him and just keep following him wherever he's going to take me.
That's good. I'm about to ask y'all, what's one thing you would tell a guy to help him make the decision to embrace who he is? So I'm okay to say a couple things, and I'm going to turn to y'all, okay? So you can be thinking about it. So I want to talk to the dudes in here and be like, listen, man, everybody on this platform has and / does struggle with depression. I honestly don't think there's a guy on the planet that doesn't. And let me tell you why. There's an enemy that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he knows if he can defeat you or make you ineffective. He doesn't even have to make you lose. He can just make you lose some ground. And you feel like you're doing okay. If he can feed you that lie, it's just as bad as going backwards. So there's an enemy that comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and I think he attacks every masculine soul on the planet with some form of depression, whatever that looks like for you. But here's what I would tell you, you're not alone. And nobody on this platform is ever going to judge you if you just open up to the fact that, hey man, some days I just don't feel like getting out of bed. Some days I don't feel like I have any significance whatsoever. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I say. Like, all that is forms of depression. And if you let it go long enough, you can find yourself in a super, super dark place, or at least I have. And then another thing you'll see up here is all of us have an excuse, if not multiple. And it's not, I hope you understand what I'm going to say. It's not that your excuse is irrelevant. It's just not valid in comparison to the cross and the blood of Jesus. It's not, I don't want you to hear me say it's irrelevant. It's absolutely relevant to what you struggle with today. But it's invalid because Jesus paid to cover that thing, to forgive you of that thing. And then here's what's cooler than that, to redeem it where it can be used as good. My excuse is I got arrested. I'm on probation. I was addicted. But now he has a switch flip to say, God was so good, he allowed me to get arrested. God was so good, he put me on probation. God was so good, you know what I'm saying? Relevant, not valid. Anybody, I can do the same thing with anybody. I can do the same thing with myself. Relevant, not valid. And do yourself a favor. Don't ever look on any platform or any social media platform and compare somebody else's journey to yours. Because you know what's true? It's true what Josh said. You're not as bad as you think. You're not as good as you think. So let me scripturalize that for you. Don't think too highly of yourself, but be of sober judgment. All the Bible is saying is like, all they're saying is, hey, dude, you're not as bad as you think. But you're not as good as you think. There's room for you to grow. There's room for you to embrace your identity and become who you're created to become. But somebody I hope I become tomorrow that I'm not today. I have a vision of somebody I want to be in 5 years that I'm not today. Here's what I know between today and 5 years from today. There are a lot of obstacles, or there are a lot of opportunities for God to show himself faithful and to take what the devil means is bad to cause it for my good. And I am at 49 years old, I welcome those opportunities because they're things I don't plan that God knows I need. And that's true on this platform. One thing, if you were sitting across the guy in this auditorium, you're looking at him in his little cute little face, just like Billy grabbed your face, what would you tell him? That's for all of you.
I'll go. One thing that I would encourage you with, well, one fact is the enemy and his tactics are going nowhere. The excuses are going nowhere. Everybody has them. So learn to flip them. Learn to play the devil like he plays you. If he's going to send excuses your way, be excited about those excuses and use them as fuel. Okay? I have excuses. So instead of staying down in the mud and not coming out the mud, I use my excuses. Okay, now I feel empowered. I feel stronger because of this, and I can speak into somebody else. I feel like if every man in the world used their excuses for good and helped another man out, half of the men that are in the situation they're in would not be in their situation.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Somebody else?
I'd say just because you've done something a certain way your whole life or to some certain extent doesn't mean that that's how it always has to be. Things worked for me and my family, so I thought, for a season, because it had to. If I was traveling or Nicole being single mother, it doesn't mean that I can't be the spiritual leader of the home. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't be carrying that plate for her. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't be the one covering my whole family in their measure of rule. But I went about it a certain way and it worked. Why not change? Like, why not be better? If you want to be healed, then accept the change. And my wife said, she said when I came back, I don't know why it wrecked me more than while I was even there, but she goes, I felt like I was growing alone. So I was going alone. And to witness that, like looking back at my life and say, I never wanted her to ever be there. But that's where I led her, for her to be alone. So every relationship that I'm in with my son, with my wife, like I'm not going to let them grow alone because that's going alone. They're off on their own. I do need to let go sometimes and not be so tight. But we need to grow together in each relationship. And there's a relationship in this room between a mentor, between you and I, between all of us on this stage. Like we can all grow together. So don't be complacent and sitting back and saying, well, it worked before, so it should work again. You're hitting a wall for a reason. God's making something evident in your life to say, time for a change. And I don't want it to, for me, I don't want it to ever be to the point where I have to, get to the point where I'm going to get a divorce and lose everything that I thought that I knew and loved. So that all that's left is God. And then I make the change. Why not now?
All right. Either one of y'all, doesn't matter.
I think back to the story when Jesus was walking on water, and the disciple gets out of the boat and goes to meet him. And a lot of times we focus on those two people, like, is it Peter, I think that's walking on water?
It's Peter.
So Peter, like, he's walking on water, and Jesus is walking on water, and everybody looks at those two, but we forget there's a whole rest of disciples that are still on the boat. And so 2 words of encouragement for all the men is only 1 disciple got out of the boat, and only 1 disciple walked on water. And only 1 disciple had that experience with Jesus. And only 1 disciple, when he turned and looked away and went to fail, the Bible says Jesus immediately, instantaneously grabbed him and pulled him back up, didn't let him sink. But only 1 disciple got that. And so my encouragement for that person is maybe no one else in your family has stepped out of the boat, and it's your turn and your time to step out, but it's still your choice. And then my second point is all of those disciples that chose not to step out of the boat, their faith was encouraged because 1 guy decided to step out, and they watched. It wasn't like they were sitting on the boat and didn't see any of this go down. They watched every bit of it. And so you have a family at home that's waiting on something to happen. And I a little Joker side of it is I think back to the movie The Incredibles, and the little kid comes riding up on his tricycle, and Mr. Incredible gets out of his car, and the little kid's just looking at him, and Mr. Incredible's having a bad day, and he's like, what do you want, kid, or something like that, and he's like, what are you waiting on, kid? And he's like, I don't know, something amazing, I guess. And that's how I want you to think about your son and your wife looking at you. Is because they're looking for someone to follow. The kid comes up because it's Mr. Incredible. We all think, I think of my dad's my superhero. He is. And so, just as that little kid on the tricycle is looking at Mr. Incredible, your wife and your children are looking at you, and you're standing at home, and you're like, what are you waiting on? And they're like, I don't know, something amazing, I guess. And so I would encourage you to step out of the boat and be the person that walks on water for them, and be the person that shows them this is, because it's not like it wasn't possible for the rest of the disciples. It was, but they needed to see someone do it. And they needed to see also, when Peter went to fall, they needed to see that Jesus wouldn't let him. And so it's not to say you step out and you walk on water and you're perfect. It's that you step out and you walk on water, and when in that entrusting Jesus, you go to stumble and fall, and Jesus immediately snatches you back up, and your whole family sees that happen. And now all of them are like, that's what I want. That's my Mr. Incredible. So.
One word that comes to my mind: stop.
It's my favorite word.
Yeah. Stop waking up in the morning painting on the face. Be who you're called to be, man. When you get wet, that face wears off. You're going to get exposed. So why not find somebody that you can really, for real, open up to? Let them in. The very person you open up and let them in might be the very person that has walked through the same thing that you're walking through. At some point, the weight will be just too much to bear. You can't smoke it, you can't drink it out, you can't snort it. There's nothing that you can do that could suppress. It's coming. It's just a matter of when. I stood up right up there, and it buckled me. I could not take the weight anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. So it's decide. We hear that all the time, decide. Well, you don't decide today and then it just keeps going. You decide today, you decide tomorrow, you decide the day after, you decide the day after. It don't stop. It's easy to sit up here and say, oh, well, I want to be this great guy and I want to leave this legacy and try to think of cool, but just be real. Be real. Don't be afraid to let someone in so that way someone else can walk you through what you're going through. Mm-hmm. I may not know the answer. I know somebody who got it. Give someone the recipe for success to get somebody. We all fall, man. We all fall. And I believe that's the thing that most men are afraid of is, oh, well, what is my son going to say when he's, get up. Get up. Don't let him see you lay down after you've fallen. That's what he's waiting on.
Yeah.
Are you going to lay there and cry, or are you going to get up and brush your shoulders off and keep moving forward? That's what he's going to do then.
Thank you, Bishop.
just want to add something to that. I believe 9 times out of 10, the man that you're trying to be perfect in front of is struggling with the same things that you're struggling with. And if y'all could learn to just be flipping real with each other, y'all could go do amazing things. And I feel like our world, as men, we have created cultures to joke about our struggles and make our struggles okay, because in reality it's easier to stand around a group of men and make light of a situation and joke about it instead of get real and say, hey, like, why are we living like this? Like, we're better than this. Like, let's stop joking about this stupid stuff and try to help each other.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being vulnerable today, for sharing today, for letting me put you on the spot and not give you the questions. When you leave this platform and the devil says, hey, that was stupid, that didn't make no sense, just go ahead and reject that, because I believe with all my heart, everybody logged in there by this auditorium today, were touched, changed, and encouraged by what you said today. Thank you.